So I posted some photos of some work being done on this truck behind the scenes that we'll explore later on in the video. But I just wanted to tell you that because I don't want to forget. Because today we're focusing on doing the brakes. I know, it's, I don't know, five months of having this truck, and we've just been sending it. So we're actually going to do the brakes now, and this one's getting worse. I'm sure you can see a little puddle down there. And then we'll take that off and kind of, oh, looks like I already got it off. Never mind. The gremlins were out here last night. They've already taken the hub off. But don't worry. We've got the other side. The other side's also been removed, but I'll show you that. And then we'll go ahead and take this hub off. Once one hub comes off, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. Whack it with a hammer and pop it off. So anyway, let me show you the other side, and then we'll go ahead and get to work. So over here, we've got the spindle and all that fun stuff and the hardware for the disc. So like I said, I already got this all removed and kind of cleaned up. That way you could see in depth of what we got going on here. So what we'll be replacing are these wheel cylinders. So these are little hydraulic cylinders. There's two of them, one on this side, one on this side, that then push out once when you press on your brake pedal. And then, oh, I can't do that, but use your imagination. They go out onto the drum, which then creates friction on that rotating member and then slows it down, which is why, you know, you get that weird smell. It means your brakes are really hot because it's like, and so I don't know if you've seen those videos on TikTok where their brake is red hot. That's why. Because it's literally just some fiber rubbing on metal that then creates heat from friction. So we're lucky that we've got nice brakes. The brakes were replaced, but not these, and they're starting to leak. This right here, this little shaft, is called the spindle. Now, for those of you that work on semi-trucks, you're familiar with the spindle, except for it's a lot larger. This is a little baby one. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and replace these parts, which means we kind of have to take this all apart on all four ends. So let's go into the back, because the back is just a skosh different than the front. So back here, you don't have a spindle. You've got the actual hub here, but we can't take this hub off because the hub is part of the axle shaft. So the axle shaft goes inside the axle housing. So it's two moving parts. Well, one moving part. Three moving parts, actually. The other side, getting sidetracked, brakes. So the bearing feels pretty good. So that's good. And what I'm doing is I'm checking the clearance there. It's like a very small amount. You want just a little bit. You don't want to like, and you don't want them just to free spin. I don't think these ones right here will free spin in any way at any point, but anyway, you'll notice that these brake pads are just a little bit smaller. They're not quite as thick. I mean, I guess they kind of do look the same, but generally your rear brakes won't be quite as thick as your front brakes because your rear brakes only do like 20% of the stopping. Don't quote me on that. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know they don't do as much as the front. That way you have that dive. But you've got the same cylinder, but you've got an added bit of hardware, the e-brake, down here. So we'll have to maneuver around that. Boy, howdy, is it spiderwebby in here. Yeah. But we're gonna go ahead and replace all of these. These ones are gonna be a little fun because, you know, they're behind this, but we'll get it. So let's go back to the front of the truck and take that hub off. All right. So it's really simple to take these caps off. You gotta get that off first so you can get to the little castle nut. And since these don't screw on, they just kind of press on. You can just take them off with a pipe wrench. So once you get that off, you'll see in here the castle nut, a pin, and the end of the spindle, and your bearing. Well, at least part of your bearing. And that is required to take this off. So this nut also kind of sets its lash, if you could use that term, how tight the bearing is. And well, that's not good. It's seized now. So good thing we're getting into this because that's not supposed to be like that. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get a pair of pliers, take this pin out, and we'll see if we can't get this this drum off. We might have to whack it. We might have to get the purse out and just give her a good solid hit. I don't know, we'll find out. Oh, you're gonna be a pain, aren't you? I could probably use, oh, hey, there we go. Okay. Normally, you should be able to kind of move that with your fingers. But we'll get the wrench and we'll put it on there. You ain't doing it right if you're not going overkill. Oh. There we go. There we go. Ooh, you know, the other thing I think we might do is a little bit of thread repair, because that feels a little icky. That's one of the other things we'll definitely be doing, is cleaning up everything. I mean, this is basically a brake restoration at this point. All right. Well, we'll clean that off and check it later, but let's get this off. So you could probably back off the brakes, but we're not going to do that. Oh man, that's messy. It's actually not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but those, if you can see how wet those brake shoes are, that's not good. You definitely don't want that. So we'll go ahead and just, you know, we're going to clean everything in here. The spindle, the brakes, gonna have to get some brake clean. Each piece, springs, because we want a nice clean space once we're done in here, you know? So, oh, we're gonna want to clean this too, especially with how wet it is. And we'll go ahead and check the seals. We might have to replace them. I'd really rather not, but we'll see what happens. So the first thing I'm gonna begin with is I'm gonna try to get some of this grease off of everything. That way you've already got that knocked out. And then when dust and junk falls, it doesn't stick to it too much. We'll have to re-clean it, but we can at least get some of it out of the way. All right, so now that I've let it dry for just a second, oops, I'm gonna go ahead and get our brake tool. You know, you could probably use pliers and a screwdriver, but this makes it so much easier. And you have less of a chance of it going whack in your face. That's not fun. There it goes. All right, so I'm not actually gonna take the pads off. I'm just making it to where I can move them out of the way. And we'll need to save these. We'll be reusing them. They definitely need to be cleaned. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm gonna go back behind and crack the brake line loose before we go ahead and remove it. And the other thing is there's a jam washer that we gotta bend out of the way in order to get the bolt out. Now this is the securing device for these front wheel cylinders. The back has two bolts just like any other. But anyway, let's get a hammer. Where did I put it? Oh, right here. We're good. Oh. At least get this out of the way while we're sitting here. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and break that back end out and we'll be able to keep moving forward. We're gonna have to be careful. I don't wanna strip it. Oh my Lord. Well, Wow, she's really on there. Let's try to just break it free. All right, there we go. We got it to move. Yeah, I don't know why that works. Tightening it up and then being able to back it off, it works almost every time. Okay, now we just gotta get the gun on it. And I dropped the gun in oil too. Like a glove. Oh my Lord. Would you look at that? I can take this guy out. All right. Yeah, she was definitely done. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Ew. So that's the piston I was talking about. Oh! Holy cow! Oh! Why is it like that? It's hard. How is this working like? What? Look at that. I thought that was like, ooh, and then, oh my gosh. We're gonna have to take each one of these apart just because I'm curious. That is icky. My goodness. Well, with that out of the way, we can go ahead and clean this up, clean all this up. Oh, flashlight died. Clean these guys up, clean that bolt up. Gonna have to re-clean this, and then we can put it back together. I haven't seen a wheel cylinder look that bad in quite a while. That was definitely something. How'd you think? Anyway, these little guys right here are what go inside of that little wheel cylinder, and they connect to the brakes and push out. They're like these little channels and their fingers that push out. So I want to clean them up just because, I mean, look at them. They're disgusting. So I'm going to use the wire wheel here, and by the time I'm done, they'll be looking brand new. Alright, so now with those clean, we can go ahead and move on to some more of the parts that go into the brake, which is that piece there, this washer here, which we're going to have to do a little bit of repairing to, and our fastener. So, yeah. So now with all these parts cleaned, we can go ahead and get them all together and put them over there. But now we're going to run over to the parts washer and clean the bearing, the hub, and whatever else needs to be cleaned in that realm of things. So we've got all the parts cleaned. I went ahead and took that old grease out of the hub and put some new grease in it and packed the bearing, cleaned all these. So it's ready to go back in. Here is our brand new wheel cylinder. I'm gonna wait to install these little guys until after I get it, you know, spun on that other thing and tightened up. Then we'll put it on. I'm gonna go ahead and crack this open so that it can start gravity feeding brake fluid down while I work on the back. So yeah, I didn't see anything bad. The seals are felt, the felt looked okay, and I looked at the bearings and the races, and they looked okay as well. I didn't see any pitting or anything that was alarming. So my education tells me I should replace the seals and that bearing there, but I'm just, you know, for right now, it'll be fine. For all intents and purposes, it looked good to me. We'll be fine. So anyway, now, oh crap. I almost forgot. I still got to clean the hose over there. So let me go do that. Then we'll put this all back together and button up the front end. So near the beginning of the video, I had mentioned that we're gonna need to clean up these threads. And that's what this does. This little guy right here. You can get them like at any tool store, if it's a good tool store. And basically what it is it's a thread file. So if you've got goobered up threads and you don't have a big enough die to the threads, you get one of these, and I got a pack of 3. These ones so happen to be from the expensive tool truck. Anyway, you go through and you find your thread and you start going like that. Simple and easy. And you can file out any goobers in your threads and make your nuts or bolt fit perfectly. That is if you don't have a die. And I don't have a die for this. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up these threads with this little tool here, and then we'll be able to reassemble the entire situation. Okay, so now that that's all been done, we've got it all cleaned up. I resprayed it with Brake Clean just to get any goobers off. They feel pretty good. They're as good as they're going to be. But we can go ahead and install this now, which is actually really simple, unlike others. It's got to not forget your jam washer. I do know that, because you'd be sitting there going, what is going on? Why am I still leaking? Well, because you're silly and you forgot your jam washer. Oh. Obviously, we'll tighten it more once when we get it all snugged up. We might have to take it back out again because it twists the line when you tighten it. And we'll just remedy that in a second. Might not have to. Might not have to. But I'm reckon we're gonna. But first, I know, I'm forgetting the lock washer. But I'm gonna be taking this right back off, I think. Actually, that helped it. It's not quite as turned out. But now we got that nice on there and snug. Yeah, she's good. Good. All right. Oh, the other thing I want to do. I got to take this off anyway because I want to put anti-seize on it. I've had this for, I don't even remember where I got it. I think I found it. It's probably one of those on the side of the road finds. Like, oh, hey, what's that? Oh, my goodness, you wouldn't believe it. Anti-seize. We still got to put on those little guys, but we'll do that here in a second. I want to get this on. Perfect. Nice and tight. She's on there. This probably would have been easier to do when it was out. Much easier, but we'll figure it out. There's one. Where did I put the, oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. Oh, what did I do with the little thingy? Looks like a little two-sided Dorito chip. I guess that was a very poor description. All right. Squirt this off. Let's get this one put on first before I get sidetracked. Oh, jeez. All right, now we can get this other one put on. Oh, man. Sometimes. All right, so now that we got that handled, we need to bend down one of these tabs over the bolt. I guess you could, I don't know if it's a bolt. The fastener, we'll call it a fastener. There, that'll keep it locked on there. So now, make sure that's good and clean. We'll go ahead and put some grease on that real fast, and then we'll put the hub on. All right. Might have to, oh, maybe not. Oh, we might have to adjust the brakes a little bit so we can get the hub on. All right, we'll try that right now. See how that did. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we've got some movement. All right, we'll leave it there. Go ahead and put everything back together, especially since we don't have any brake fluid in it. That'll change things as well. So let me go ahead and get this button back up and we'll move to the rear end. So the rear end is basically the same as the front since it's all drum brakes, but we shouldn't have to remove as much to get this wheel cylinder out. We will have to move the brakes out of the way and all that, but we'll have to undo the hard line and 2 bolts that hold this on instead of the big one right here. I'm gonna hope that there's enough space between the wheel cylinder and the hub that we can wiggle it out without having to do anything too drastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and get behind there, hopefully not strip anything or break any bolts, and we'll get lucky. That's what I'm going off of. Okay, so we just got extremely lucky there on that hard line. Normally, it's not like that. Something always breaks. There it goes. Now, that we've got all that out of the way, I can finish loosening up we want to save those. I can finish loosening up the bolts in the back. And we can cross our fingers now that we don't have to do anything else. Oh, she's seized in there. Isn't that nice? Okay. I'll be back. Gotta get a hammer. Let's look inside this one. What the heck? Oh my, look at that. That right there. That's farm dust. These ones were working too, which is surprising. Look at that. They were definitely on their way out. Kind of ejectoed that one. Pretty neat. All right, I'm gonna go grab the new one. We do have a little bit of cleanup work that needs to be done. Just a little bit, not too awful lot. I'll go ahead and there is a whole ton of dead spiders in here. They had themselves a nest. But I'm gonna go ahead and just get the brake clean this up a little bit, clean up the threads on our hard line, and clean up these little guys right here. That way we can reuse them. And then, of course, cleaning up these guys. So we're getting lucky though. Keep crossing those fingers. So yeah, pretty simple and easy. Just slap it together basically. So now we're ready to put this on. See if we're gonna have to adjust any. Nope, feels pretty darn good to me. All right, so that leaves us with the other side. Now I did do the other front hub already just because, you know, grease and all that ick. Went ahead and did that, but we still have the other side on the rear to do. So I'll meet you guys over there. So now that we've got all of the wheel cylinders replaced and everything's put back together, hubs put back on, everything's cleaned up, we've even got our mess cleaned up, we can go back under there and bleed the brakes. Now, I'm not gonna bleed the brakes like you would normally when you get two people, one hops up in the rig and pumps the brakes and then, you know, we're gonna use vacuum. So this right here is a vacuum bleeder, and how it works is you plug it into your air compressor and you've got a little chamber right here, and as you blow air into the chamber, it then creates a vacuum that sucks the brake fluid through this line and into itself. But it's sucking it through the line, the hard line, from the reservoir. So you don't have to, it's bleeding brakes, it's more like vacuuming brakes. So this little end here goes onto your brake bleeder. And then you crack it open. And that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all hooked up. Oh, almost forgot. This little guy right here is so on newer cars, this one's way too big. And that's what these adapters are for. You'd fill this with brake fluid. And this right here is your fill bottle. And you just kind of put these little guys on there. It sits on top or sits inside. You open the valve and then you don't have to go and check it as much. But we're just going to have to do the old-fashioned way on that end. But anyway, that's what this is. And that's what I'm going to be doing here. Well, there you have it. The brakes are finally complete on the C10, which means I can stop saying, we need to do the brakes. We need to not forget to do that. We need to, you know, they're done now. And this process isn't just specific to the 1964 Chevrolet C10. No, you can use this on, you know, whatever. You know, if it's got drum brakes in the rear, drum brakes in the front, or even disc brakes in the front, disc brakes in the rear. The process is pretty much the same. There's a lot more work to be done on this truck. We've only scratched the surface on this restoration. There's the rear diff. We need to drain the oil out of that. That's been in there for probably more than 23 years, and it's probably full of water. We want to check that ring and pinion because we want to tow a trailer with this thing. And speaking of that, that means we need to do some suspension work because right now it's like driving a boat down the highway, you know? Great if you go over a bump, but you might get some seasickness. On top of that, there's probably ball joints, transmission oil, gauge cluster doesn't really work, blinkers don't work. The list will continue if I keep talking. But right now, there's something I want to show you on the passenger side of the truck. Remember back to the last video when I said that the passenger side is going to look completely different the next time you see it? No, it still looks the same. The only thing that's different now is there's not quite as much of that white up here, but everything that's covered in this white that you see is all primer. There is not a lick of blue underneath it. It is all just bare metal. And that was a little bit of a bummer, but it's okay. We overcome the bummers. We're getting new paint. Now, that's where things get a little dicey, because this thing's already been painted with a different paint that did not match the original, and we don't want to look like that guy, you know? He's got different panels, all kinds of different flavor of blue, right? Which is why I went to the local auto parts store and we created the paint. But we didn't just create the paint, we perfected it. So there's a couple different tries on this truck. There's a little bit of a lighter blue here on the door and a little bit right here on the bed, but there's also this darker blue, but it's not really darker. It's just a different hue, a different shade. And you can really see it right here where it comes together. Well, this paint was randomly generated. So they've got this little scanner thing, and they take a scan of the paint, and then it creates a couple different colors you can choose from the system. And it creates a little algorithm, and then this whole little list that you go off of to make the paint. But this time when it did it, it created one extra one on its own without any prompt. Just, here you go, right there. And it just so happened that this paint is 0.06% different. That's not very different than the original paint with age. So I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to get it painted. Now, we're not gonna do the whole where you put it in the gun and you put it in the booth and you spray it. We can actually get this in aerosol can, and we're gonna do it with aerosol. I just heard everybody tell me no. It's okay, I've done it already, and nobody known the wiser. So we're gonna go ahead and play around with that. On this whole section, I'm only gonna paint from here down to here. I wanna try to keep as much as we can, and then obviously this door, since it's, well, more black than it is anything else. But then after we get it painted, and after it looks all nice and brand new, and you're sitting there going, dang, that looks really good, we're gonna ruin it. We're gonna go through and we're gonna re-patina the entire, not the stuff that we don't have to paint, but the stuff that we paint is gonna get re-patinaed to match that of the other side, which, to be honest, I've never done that. So we're gonna learn that together. And I'm hoping to be able to get that all completed here within the next couple months, because we got a car show coming up soon, and I'd like to get that done before then. If not, it'll be all right. I mean, it looks good, doesn't it? Anyway, that's the idea. We had to take a panel off, and I'll go ahead and run the camera over it so you can see all the different sections that I tried it on. And I mean, yeah, there is a difference. There is a difference, but it's 0.06% of a difference. That's the important part. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.